I know why you choose to have your little group therapy sessions in broad daylight. I know why you're afraid to go out at night. The Batman.
The devil sits amongst the cold and the dying, out of focus but raging in his eternal fire, casting shadow over those in need of penance. This is more than just vengeance. This is about becoming everlasting. Before a reckoning of conscience thanks to the Riddler, the introduction of the Batmobile in Matt Reeves' The Batman is arguably the most important turning point for Bruce Wayne's evolution as this caped crusader. A crucially authentic actualization of character that DC needs more of, executed and visualized to fulfill one simple goal: that of purpose. This movie is about Bruce's coming of age into the night and struggling to separate himself from the identity of the mask, so it works rather poetically that his first confirmation towards contextualizing the Batman is through a cacophonous explosion of becoming, out of sight and shrouded in fear. This is the most intimidating the Batmobile has ever been, but this is as much about the extension of Batman as the legend as it is about the introduction of the vehicle itself. This moment gives presence to the nightmare lurking in the shadows, which graduates Bruce from a conceptual Batman into an idealized one, a devil of Gotham waiting to cast judgment upon those in the rain. It is an unsettling crescendo of creation because it's now a Batman of tangibility, one that peels away from the mantras of abstractionism and instead proceeds according to the physicality of the mantle. Something of size, sound, matter, all in an effort to pack a thematic punch and a canonical evolution. Compared to Bruce's words in the opening crawl, where the mere idea of the Bat was enough to get the point across, this is now about affirming the identity of the suit and mixing the correct proportions of character layered throughout this film into one purified expression. There is a cerebral conditioning that is required to fully become the Batman, and this moment succeeds at harmonizing the war that Bruce has been fighting throughout these past nights. The balance between when to give in to vengeance and when to become more than that, when to be something else entirely. He begins much of this movie as vengeance only, and only working from the ground. But so much about the Batman is what you don't see, the atmosphere his presence creates when you don't know where he is, making an entrance that precedes him, something that this Batman is still learning. The thugs of this world spend their time overwhelmed by fear, but this is merely a warning. Their eyes see the calling, but that calling is missing a little push. So here comes the drowning of senses and the clogging of securities, as the only thing to experience now is fear itself. This is why this scene matters, because Batman goes from a vengeful conviction to a mythical entity, and it's no coincidence that his approach to this narrative crescendo follows in a similar pattern with how he now moves. From the ground to the rooftops, he chooses to be the Batman, rather than taking the conflict head-on on the ground like he used to as vengeance alone, and when it's time to merge those identities, he does so. And it seems to be in this moment that these two identities he's been fighting against coalesce, now balanced and frightening, even if for just a moment. He knows when to be vengeance by taking the fight head-on, and now he knows when it's time for a more mythical extension of the mask, when to be Batman. It's one thing to work in the shadows, it's one thing to fight through them. It's another thing entirely to conquer them, to become them. If you want the knight, so be it. If you want the Batman, you must challenge him, and to challenge him is to court fear. The Batmobile's reveal as an instrument of Bruce's ego is a fascinatingly awesome direction to take this version of the character, and it's ultimately important because it designates his identity as complete, even if the rough edges aren't fully sanded yet. It is continuity within the self, the image, his ego, the ID, the aura, all of it. While the Riddler may have confirmed his transformation, it was the choice made here, in the pouring rain by Bruce, that locked his grip with the mask into a steady hold. The thunderous warning from the dark alley that told Gotham and the audience that the night had arrived. Everything he does in this movie is about not being the silent protector, to instead be vengeance that comes forward-facing and loudly into any scene. But it's when he learns the balance between both sides of the mask that he ascends into the mantle. He learns to coexist with vengeance and the Batman, realizing the potential of the silent protector through the shadows whilst still continuing to be loud. The mythical nature of this Batman is beginning. The longer the engine roars, the more the transformation completes itself. It's not about the car, it's not about the chase, it's about the moment Bruce Wayne became the Batman. His legend rises like a scream from hell the moment the flame ignites, suffocating the air around all who bear witness to his rise. As he is here, he is coming, he is forming, and simply, he is. Bruce fights through the movie as a fractured protector who can't separate himself from the mask, and now he charges his identity like a rocket, propelling his existence as Batman into its next evolution. He drives directly into it, into becoming not just Batman, but the Batman. The first step into becoming more than just a man, an ideal. This movie decides to fracture its Bruce Wayne, but does so methodically and intentionally. It is in the biggest moments where the Batman thrives the most, not when he's taking on thugs or wrestling with Selina, but when he understands how to live through the mantle, to manipulate the space and bring his fear to theirs, to be more than what they can process and much more than what they can handle. This is a masterful execution of character study in an already deeply symbolic movie. Somewhat fitting for the world's greatest night, isn't it? And as always, thanks for watching.